Say hi. Say hi. Yes. Hi. Hi, and welcome to PrintQuest 3D, second day. If you've seen the first video, you probably got some questions answered, and we're going to go through some printers that are available that I like the Elegoo printers, but we're going to look at some different printers, and then we're going to talk about FDM and the SLA or the resin printers. And this is my dog. He likes to be in my lap. He's about 60 pounds, so he's a mini Aussie. He's going to help out running the controls. All right, buddy. So, first thing you kind of want to look at is markforged.com, and it has a pretty good article on FDM versus SLA or resin printer, and it has like a process breakdown. So it'll give you a little bit more knowledge on the two systems. I prefer the FDM, which is basically a fused deposition modeling, and that basically lays down layers of filament to make a product. And I'm not going to read all of this. I wanted to show you it's markforged.com resources blog FDM versus SLA, and it kind of goes through your pros and cons, advantages, disadvantages. Yes, please bark a little more while I'm recording. Dogs, gotta love them. And it's not a. I thought it was a little bit longer than this, but it's not. Um, so to look at these different printers here, you want to go to the U.S. if you're living in the United States, obviously. Elegoo.com, and I have the Neptune series of the 3D printers. These are the open air printers, and they have different tiers that they have. So they have the Neptune 4 Max, they have the Neptune 4 Plus, 4 Pro, or the Neptune 4, and those prices are really actually pretty good. $184. The Neptune 3 Pro, which is $159, and you can pretty much go through and look at their open system. Now, one of the things I was thinking about on the open system is if you decide to go with an open system, if you have cats. So that was like something that I was kind of chuckling about to myself. I can just see one of the cats. I don't have any cats, but I used to. Anyway, it would be quite hilarious to see a cat knock one of your prints off while you're not home or something. And they have a tendency to do that. So that's the Neptune series, and you can really, when you get a quick view of it, let's see here. Click outside. Don't click on the quick view. Click on the actual picture itself, and it will give you, all the options that they have for like the Neptune 4 or the Neptune 3. And then as you're rolling down, it'll also give you like some features. So it'll give you all the information that you need on, the height, the width, uh, and that's what you can create. 300-degree Celsius high temperature nozzles, which is actually pretty good for an open air. And it just kind of goes through what's in the box and the specifications. So, and this is after, if you watch my first video, which was really a bad video, I think I got the volume, or uh, the microphone kind of is a little bit better up here than it is downstairs in my basement. So, and then you have the Centauri series, which is basically the Centauri Carbon, and they run. It's an enclosed system, so that's really nice. It's a lot better. You're with the enclosed system, you're able to control that environment a lot better than you would with the open system. So one of the things you want to think about is if you don't have a very controlled environment and you go to the enclosed system, you don't have to really worry too much about, you know, you still have to worry about it, but you don't have to worry about it as much for like the humidity and temperature and so forth. And then, so they have their different, what I call price points. They have the all-in-one bundle, and I think that's the one that I ended up getting. It could have been that one or the 5 kilograms. I can't remember. But anyway, uh, and then you can bundle it, and they also send you some filament with that on some of these bundles. So you just have to kind of look through and see where your price points are at. Um, they also offer some resin printers if that's the route you want to go with the resin printer. I don't know very much about them, so I'm not really going to discuss it, but they do have them available. And then, of course, you have Bamboo Labs, and they have a really wide variety. They're a really good company. They're very popular. Um, One of the things, if you order from one of the, whichever place you order from, most of the stuff is probably coming from China, so you have to also think about the tariffs. I think there's only been one time so far out of all the different filaments and things like that I've ordered where I had like an extra $7.30 that I had to pay to, I think it was FedEx. Um, and then you have um, other companies, and the one that I had really looked at, I'm going to close that one out. For my next printer, we talked about the multicolor printers, and that is the Snapmaker U1. It's a brand new system. It actually has 4 tool heads that are changeable. So you have your original, or you have 4 different colors that you can use for that. So that's just something to think about. It's $849, and they're not shipping until like March 20th to April 5th if you order today. And then they have like their add-ons that they have. If you go back here, Elegoo has the same thing where they have their add-ons, things you might need. Um, I don't really, when you're first starting off, I don't know if you're going to need all the add-ons. Just kind of learning how your printer actually works in your environment is probably your best bet. and that's kind of the slow starter. Or if you want to be a fast starter, order it all. So I kind of showed you the multicolor one. This is kind of the new. This is the newest version. I believe Elegoo is coming out with a multicolor printer. Let's see here in the Centauri Carbon. Um, some of the things that I was told was that the original Centauri Carbon was supposed to be compatible, or you were supposed to be able to use it with multicolor down the road. And apparently they abandoned that. I don't, I don't know if they actually did or not, but supposedly they have a multicolor 3D printer. I think they call it the Centauri Carbon 2, if I'm not mistaken. And then, of course, you have so all of these brands, if you do a search, you can do the top 10 FDM 3D printers. So I did top 10 FDM 3D printers, and I just repeated myself like 20 times. But anyway, so they have Bambu Lab A1 Mini for beginners. They have the Prusa Core 1 for overall quality and the Creality K1 series. Now, Creality makes some really good filaments. Um, I've used quite a bit of their filaments uh, with my Centauri Carbon, and I didn't have any problems at all. Just my own mix-ups and settings and things like that. But and you can also do a search on YouTube for the top ones. So the Prusa, I see the Prusa Core One here that they have listed as like uh, for the overall quality. Those run about $999 plus. You know, I think there's shipping and tax, things like that. It looks like they also have a multi-material 3D printer from Prusa for like 2 grand, which is that's a lot. Let's see here. We talked about that. So the other thing that I really recommend, that's what I have, is this one right here, the Centauri Carbon. And the next thing I'm going to show you is the slicer. So here's kind of the Elegoo's slicer program. It's based off the Orca slicer, which is an open source slicer. So they kind of use that, and from what I understand, they're having it a little bit more open than they originally had. I don't know all the details to it, but I do different. Uh, I fiddle around with it quite a bit. So it's my three-headed Hydra Dragon that I was trying to do. It didn't turn out that great because I didn't really. Well, it's more than a Hydra. It's 5 heads. Didn't even realize that one. Um, Back to home. They're working on like a birdhouse. I'm also working with some lightweight PLA for RC airplanes, and mostly for my father. He was a big as I was growing up. He had a Focke-Wulf uh, RC plane, and I seen that. It was like probably a month and a half ago. I saw there was a lightweight PLA to make uh, airplanes, RC airplanes, that you can fly and crash. And I really liked. I really like that idea, so I thought I'd make it for him this year. I've already printed out all the parts. It wasn't that bad. I used a couple different uh, places for that, and yeah, it worked out really good. And that's the slicer. So the slicer basically is you use, you go file, import. So you import a 3MF or an STL. That's the two main ones that I think almost everybody uses, and that would be imported into this program, this uh, slicer program, and then we'll just go ahead and import something, and I'll do a dragon. I'll do this guy. So open. Okay. So you're gonna come in, and this is my one of my dragon heads that I do a 3D uh, a 3D version. So I use AI Meshy. It's one of the programs that I use, Meshy.com, and I think it's Meshy.com. But anyway, so I make 3D, and then I put it into an STL file, and then I bring it over to here. They're actually, this thing's kind of cool, but I haven't tried printing it yet. I'm still kind of working out some of the kinks that I may run into for this print. I really like the idea of being able to make my own, whether it be through AI, artificial intelligence, or trying to make it myself through, I use FreeCAD, so I'm going to bring that up. And right now I'm working on a circle wall light project. Basically, if I open this up, so you would put your LED light strip in here inside it, and then I have some clear filament that's coming. I think that's coming in tomorrow. And it'll go over the top here, and then you can either probably glue it on there, and I got to make some holes on the outside where and you can make several prints of these and stick them together and put it on your wall and make it kind of like a pattern if you want, or however you want to do it. I like messing around with this stuff to learn how to use it. And you really, if you don't know anything about this stuff, I highly recommend that you start learning it, because it is kind of the future. So anyway, so this FreeCAD, we'll get into that later. I just kind of wanted to show it to you, and I wanted to show you this, and we'll do some slicing in another one. But I really wanted to basically in this video was show you the different, uh, so the enclosed one, the open ones, and you're almost running the same amount of money as far as open or enclosed, except for like the Bamboo Lab they got a higher price point on their enclosed systems, um, but I think that they're I don't know what to say as far as the quality, because I don't know anything too much about them. Um, they're obviously listed as number one as the top 10, but I haven't had any problems with my Centauri Carbon at all. So um, yeah, that's about it. So you do your research, find out where what kind of money that you're looking to spend, Um, oh, there was one more thing that I was going to look at, and that was, I think, Amazon. Okay, so Amazon, so I'm going to type this in 3D printer accessories. So some of the accessories that you can see here, this has got like a 164 piece 3D printing accessory tool and tool bag, and it's got your basics in here, and that's actually kind of neat. I would definitely probably think about, if you don't have some of this stuff already, I would think about getting something like this. Um, this right here, this, yeah, let's see if we can see a click full view. This right here, I don't know if I'm using mine correctly, but uh, this that right there, this thing right here, it's like takes the edges off the model itself, and it it's kind of, you got to get used to using it, because it kind of, when you go to scrape, it kind of twists in your hand. I don't know, it's just not too bad. Definitely need um, a rotary tool of some type. Scrapers, these are pretty good scrapers. I use a razor blade that comes as one of your prints for the Centauri Carbon. You can print out a razor blade scraper as kind of like practice. And tweezers, scissors, um, and a, let's see what comes in with this here. Tissue blades. Calipers. Is it the calipers? I would highly recommend getting this thing, the deburring tool. That thing drives me crazy. You also need the Centauri Carbon. Usually, I think comes with the printer glue stick. There's some other stuff that you can research, and there's different. Let's see here, parts and accessories for parts and accessories for FDM 3D printers. So these are the anti-vibration feet. So if you do go with the Centauri Carbon, and by the way, they're not paying me for this. They're not paying me in any way, shape, or form. I just like the system. So you know, I just wanted to put that out there, that I'm not being paid by them. I just like their. I've not had a problem with their printer, so that's the only reason why I'm kind of geared towards them. But the anti-vibration feet, they have a tendency, like you can see that they're made out of rubber. They work really well, except if you try to move your whole uh, if you try to move it around, they basically they scrunch like to one side or another. So I made these little uh, feet for them that go inside that, and it keeps them stable. So I made some feet for those. It was really easy to do. It was just a hectagon or whatever it was, and just just right on the outside of those. But you also have build plates. So the thing about build plates is you want to be very careful if you're using a razor blade on those. You want to keep them clean, but sometimes stuff sticks. So when you're using your razor blade, be very, very careful because you can score these really, really easy and ruin them very quickly. I think I've got probably a little bit of a dip or two in mine because I like my one plate that I always use. Um, but I would also recommend maybe getting a extra extruder hot end kit. Um, so usually it's a 4 millimeter is what we go for as your standard, and then you have your 2 mil, which is a smaller. I think it's more precise, but usually overall people go with the 4 millimeter. 6 and 8. I don't know anything about that, but I just go with the standard 4 millimeter, and it seemed to work just fine with me. So, and they got their accessories and stuff, and then your filaments. So you have your PLA, your PETG, your TPU PC slash PC, ASA slash ABS, fiber reinforced, and you also buy in bundles. Now these usually come in a 1.75 kilogram. No, what is it? Let's see. Let's just click on 1 kilogram, and then they're 1 point. So I think the standard, I think across the board for all 3D printers is 1.75 millimeter, if I am not mistaken. Usually it tells you now, of course, here details. Yep, 1.7 dimensions of, so they keep consisting of 1.75 millimeters. I do know that if you're environmentally conscious or things like that, they do make recycled type filaments, but you'll have to look that up. I don't know how well they work. Um, but you can buy it in bundles. And Elegoo isn't the only one that sells filament, obviously. But I usually use I think it's the fiber reinforced is my main go-to. It's the Hyper series, or maybe that's a different. Ooh, that could be a different. I think that's a different one. I think that's the. Kind of laughing at myself. I think that's the Creality. Yeah, the Hyper series. Yeah, let's look that up real quick. Creality Hyper. Yep, Hyper PLA. It's Creality. So it's the Hyper series. Creality makes that the Hyper series. I really like that filament. Um, it's just I'm kind of laughing at myself because I completely forgot. Elegoo makes good stuff. Don't get me wrong with the filament stuff. Um, so anyway, I'll move on from there. So on the side, usually what will happen is that let's see here. Let's go back to the carbon. Let's click on the carbon series. Okay, so let's get this picture. So the way this filament is, it loads on the side here on the Centauri carbon. And what they have it as is they have it rolling up and underneath. And what I found is that oftentimes I'll forget where the what the temperature range is on these. And what I do is I flip it around so that the actual filament is coming off the top and into the system. And that way the label, usually they label these on only one side and they give you your temperature range. And I think there's some other things that they actually put on there. But they give you a temperature range. So let's say that this temperature range is like supposed to be 195 to 220. So I've noticed that when I print, if I use different types of filament, I go with what's recommended on the actual roll of filament. And I'll look at the bottom and then the top. So they'll have a low and a high. And I'll go about 5 to 10 degrees lower than what the high is, if that makes sense. So if it's 220, I do 210. And that usually puts me right where I want to be for a good print without having to mess around. Um, and they have all kinds of different filaments. I mean, it's unbelievable how many different colors, uh, from spongy to, your carbon fiber hard core. And then I think there's a high heat one that's coming out from, I can't remember who was putting it out or was going to make it. But anyway, that's pretty much about it. I would recommend getting like a little, if you don't have, very many tools, I would recommend looking for a kit, usually on Amazon. You can always find something on Amazon and they've got plenty of filament. I use the Sunlu, I think it is. Look here. No, I use the SaneSmart. So the SaneSmart also makes 3D printer filament, and I bought the LWPLA from them to try to make that RC airplane, and it didn't. I don't know. I had a little bit of trouble with it, but that's about it. If you have any questions, or you want to go back and look at the first video, I'd just go to the end and look at all the questions, and on that one um, and then YouTube, you can do your searches through that. Also, if you have questions or anything like that, just put them in the bottom of this video, and I'll try to answer them as quickly as possible. That's about it. That's just basically our second step, is finding a printer, finding what we want, finding what we need. Um, what's in our price range, and then you gotta, when you do find something, compare it to other brands of the similar, size of the bed and everything else, and make sure that if it's available, because like I said, they're here, the Snapmaker. If you ordered this thing today, it's not going to come in until March 20th to April 5th. So I mean, see, it's not even Thanksgiving yet. So you're talking. Now I got to think in my head here. December, January, February, March. So you're talking 5, 6 months before you'd even get your printer from them. So uh, you may want to think about that one too. Or if you have the time, I mean, if you want to order that, then you'd be starting off with a multicolor, and that one's a little bit, probably a little more difficult to learn if you don't have any experience with them. But you can see it has 4 tool heads, and you can get the different colors and stuff. It's supposed to be a minimal purge, but I'm not 100% convinced that it's any better. Your purge material, if you want to keep it, think about that. Try to keep it into, maybe have a couple garbage cans. One for just your poop. That's what they call it. Your purge or your mess ups. And I don't know, I think they may have uh, some homemade, or some company I think makes where you can reuse your old, melt it down, and then try to extrude your own um, your own filament. But I don't know, I'd have to do more research on that one. um, I guess the last thing is that you'd want to think about getting and I'm going to show you here, 3D printer, humidity. Oh, and wherever you're printing at, I would definitely buy a humidity sensor. Let's try humidity box. Chamber. Let's try that. Well, that's not really what I'm looking for. Dryer box. All right, let's try dryer box. Jeez. Dryer box. So they come in singles. So this is a dryer box. It brings the humidity down on your filament. Um, I have like the Sunlu brand, I think. Yeah, I have this brand, but it's like this big filament dryer box with like, I think you can have four spools in there, dehydrating at the same time. I don't know why I bought it. I just did. It was like, well, I guess I'll get that too. So it's just stuff can add up really really quick if you don't watch out what you spend. So come up with a plan, and that way, I know I'm kind of rambling on a little bit here, but see how long this video has been. Oh my God, 39 minutes. I've been rambling on for 39 minutes. Well, thank you for watching. If you like what you see, just give me a thumbs up or a subscribe or whatever, and have a great day. Take care.